You think you're intelligent, but your morality exposes you. Real Machiavellian minds manipulate reality itself. Below level 4, you're not dangerous, you're prey being studied. You were taught that intelligence meant knowing things. Facts, skills, degrees, vocabulary, credentials. All trophies, all visible, all irrelevant. Because real intelligence was never about what you know. It was about what you see. Not with your eyes, with your perception. Most people live inside a sealed box of interpretation. They see events, but never the forces behind them. They see outcomes, but never the architects. They see reactions, but never the triggers. They believe reality is happening naturally. It is. It is being engineered. Every social interaction you experience contains layers, surface words, hidden intent, strategic positioning, silent testing, dominance calibration. And most of it goes completely unnoticed by you. Not because you are incapable, but because you were conditioned not to see. From childhood, you were trained to focus on compliance signals, approval, acceptance, belonging. You learned to interpret smiles as kindness, authority as legitimacy, confidence as competence. You never learned to ask the only question that matters. Who benefits from what I believe right now? This question alone separates levels of intelligence. Level 1, minds experience reality. Level 2, minds analyze reality. Level 3, minds adapt to reality. But level 4 minds, they see the structure behind reality. They see that behavior is not random. Loyalty is not pure, kindness is not innocent, even weakness is not accidental. Everything is a signal. Everything is information. Everything is leverage. When someone interrupts you, they are not just speaking. They are testing your tolerance for disrespect. When someone praises you excessively, they are not admiring you. They are mapping your ego's entry points. When someone ignores you, they are not distracted. They are measuring your need for validation. Every action around you is diagnostic, and you are constantly being evaluated. Not consciously most of the time, but biologically, instinctively, evolutionarily. Humans are pattern detection organisms shaped by survival pressure. For thousands of years, survival depended on identifying threat, weakness, and opportunity faster than others. That mechanism never disappeared. It just became social. Now, instead of hunting bodies, people hunt positioning, influence, psychological advantage. And the most dangerous individuals are not the most aggressive. They are the most perceptive. Because perception precedes control. You cannot dominate what you cannot see. This is why most people remain permanently powerless. They are trapped reacting to visible events, unaware of invisible causes. They argue over words, while others control outcomes. They defend their image, while others rewrite their identity behind their back. They try to be understood, while others study them like systems. And the tragedy is this: they think they are intelligent. But intelligence without perception is blindness with confidence. You may know how to speak. You may know how to work. You may know how to think logically. But if you cannot detect manipulation while it is happening, you are not operating. You are being operated. Level 4 is the point where this illusion collapses. It is the moment you stop asking, "What is happening?" and start asking, "Why is this happening and who designed it this way?" This shift is irreversible. Because once you see the structure, you cannot unsee it. You begin to notice hesitation patterns in speech, micro-expressions of insecurity, strategic politeness masking silent hostility, artificial agreement designed to lower your guard. You begin to realize that transparency is not rewarded. It is exploited. Predictability is not respected. It is consumed. And morality, as you were taught to practice it, was never designed to protect you. It was designed to make you safe to others. Safe to predict. Safe to control. Safe to neutralize. This is the brutal hierarchy of perception. At the bottom, people experience. At the top, people engineer. And the distance between those two positions is not measured by knowledge. It is measured by awareness of human nature without illusion. Right now, whether you realize it or not, you occupy a level within this hierarchy. Your behaviors reveal it. Your reactions confirm it. Your predictability exposes it. The question is not whether the hierarchy exists. The question is whether you are seeing it, or living inside it without knowing. Your emotions were never designed to protect your power. They were designed to expose it. Every emotional reaction you display becomes data. Every flash of anger, every moment of excitement, every trace of insecurity, it all becomes visible. And visibility is vulnerability. Because once someone can predict your emotional response, they can control your behavior. Not force you, guide you. This is the first truth most people never understand. Control does not require domination. It requires predictability. And emotions make you predictable. When you are angry, you rush. When you are flattered, you trust. When you are afraid, you retreat. When you are validated, you lower your defenses. Your nervous system becomes a puppet responding to invisible strings. And the operator never needs to reveal themselves. This is why emotional people are easy to manage, not because they are weak in effort, but because they are transparent in pattern. They react instantly, they reveal instantly, they expose instantly. And exposure is surrender. Level 4, Machiavellian intelligence, begins with emotional silence. Not suppression. Detachment. Suppression is internal conflict. Detachment is internal control. Suppression means you still feel the impulse, but you fight it. Detachment means the impulse no longer owns you. It passes through you without altering your posture, your tone, or your decisions. This creates something rare: uncertainty. And uncertainty destabilizes everyone around you. Because humans are constantly scanning for feedback, they rely on emotional signals to orient themselves. Approval signals safety, anger signals threat, fear signals weakness. But when they encounter emotional neutrality, their predictive model fails. They cannot read you. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. This is why emotionally neutral individuals are often described as intimidating, even when they say nothing. Their silence becomes psychological fog. Others begin projecting their own fears, assumptions, and insecurities onto them. They reveal themselves while you reveal nothing. This is asymmetrical exposure. You see them clearly. They see only what their fear invents. This imbalance is the foundation of silent power. History has always favored those who mastered emotional restraint, not because they lacked feeling, but because they refused to leak information through feeling. Niccolo Machiavelli himself observed that rulers who revealed their emotional state became vulnerable to manipulation. Predictable rulers were easy to corner, easy to provoke, easy to destroy. But rulers who remained emotionally unreadable created psychological distance. Distance created uncertainty. Uncertainty created caution. And caution created control. This applies everywhere, not just in politics, in conversations, relationships, negotiations, conflict. When someone insults you and you react instantly, you confirm they have access to your nervous system. They can reach inside you without permission. They can move you without touching you. But when someone attempts to provoke you and finds nothing, no anger, no defense, no reaction, They experience something far more destabilizing than resistance. They experience loss of influence, because influence requires feedback, and you gave them none. This is why emotional discipline is not weakness. It is concealment. It is the removal of exploitable entry points. Most people believe expressing everything makes them authentic. But authenticity without control is exposure without protection. It invites exploitation. Level 4 intelligence understands that emotions are internal signals, not external displays. They are tools for self-observation, not public broadcast. You observe your anger. You do not display it. You observe your fear. You do not obey it. You observe your excitement. You do not reveal it. Because the moment others see what moves you, they learn how to move you. And once they can move you, your autonomy becomes conditional. Emotional detachment restores that autonomy. It creates a barrier between stimulus and response. And inside that barrier lives choice. Choice is power. Not loud power. Silent power. Invisible power. The kind that cannot be measured, predicted, or easily neutralized. This is the first weapon. Not aggression. Not force. Not dominance. Control of emotional leakage. Because once you stop revealing your internal state, you stop feeding the systems that were designed to manage you. You stop being readable. And when you stop being readable, you stop being controllable. Most people think manipulation requires intelligence. It doesn't. It requires observation. Because human beings are not as unpredictable as they believe. They run on loops, emotional loops, behavioral loops, identity loops. And once you see the loop, you see the leash. Every person around you is broadcasting their psychological blueprint in real time, through tone, through posture, through timing, through overreaction and underreaction. They think they are hiding. They are not. They are repeating. Level 4 Machiavellian intelligence operates on one principle: patterns reveal ownership. Who owns their emotions? Who is owned by them? Who owns their identity? Who depends on it? Who owns their validation? Who starves without it? Because ownership determines vulnerability. For example, observe the man who constantly explains himself. He believes he is clarifying. He believes he is being understood. He is not. He is revealing his fear of being misjudged. That fear becomes an entry point. Apply subtle doubt and he will begin over-justifying. The more he explains, the more he exposes his need for approval. He becomes steerable, not through force, through suggestion. Or observe the man who cannot tolerate disrespect. The moment he senses it, he reacts. His voice tightens, his posture stiffens, his behavior shifts. He believes he is protecting his dignity. He is not. He is revealing his trigger threshold. Now anyone can control his emotional state simply by simulating disrespect. They don't need to harm him. They only need to provoke him. He becomes programmable. Then there is the man addicted to validation. He seeks agreement. He seeks praise. He seeks acceptance. He believes he is building relationships. He is not. He is broadcasting dependency. Give him approval and he will trust you prematurely. Withdraw approval and he will chase it. His behavior becomes guided by access to validation. He becomes containable. These are not rare cases. This is the majority. Because most people build their identity on unstable foundations: perception, approval, emotional comfort, social safety. They do not realize these foundations can be manipulated. Level 4 intelligence does not see personalities. It sees patterns. Patterns of hesitation, patterns of compliance, patterns of insecurity, patterns of dominance performance masking internal fragility. And once you see the pattern, you stop taking behavior personally. You see it mechanically, predictably, inevitably. This creates a psychological shift. You stop reacting emotionally to people. You start mapping them. Every conversation becomes diagnostic. Every pause becomes information. Every contradiction becomes revelation. You notice who seeks permission without asking, who mirrors your tone unconsciously, who fills silence nervously, who tries to impress without being asked. These are signals of internal hierarchy. And hierarchy determines influence. Because humans instinctively organize themselves into invisible ranks, not declared ranks, behavioral ranks. Who leads? Who follows? Who submits? Who observes? Most people unknowingly assign themselves lower positions through their behavior. They rush to reply. They over-explain. They laugh too quickly. They seek comfort in agreement. They reveal their positioning without realizing it. But level 4 minds do something different. They wait. They observe. They allow others to reveal themselves first. Because whoever reveals more first loses strategic advantage. Information asymmetry is power. The one who knows more and reveals less controls the direction of interaction. This is why predators in nature do not announce themselves. They watch. They study movement patterns, timing, weakness, separation from the group. Then they act with precision, not emotion. Human predators operate the same way. Socially, psychologically, strategically. They identify who is driven by ego, who is driven by fear, who is driven by loneliness, who is driven by the need to prove themselves. Then they apply the correct stimulus. Ego is controlled through challenge. Fear is controlled through pressure. Loneliness is controlled through attention. Insecurity is controlled through validation. Each person requires a different key. And most people hand you the key themselves without realizing it exists. They call it conversation. Level 4, intelligence, calls it exposure. Because once you can see the operating system beneath behavior, you stop being surprised by human nature. You stop being confused by betrayal. You stop being affected by manipulation attempts. You see them forming before they complete. And this is where the hierarchy begins to shift. You are no longer inside the system unconsciously. You are observing it consciously. You are no longer reacting. You are anticipating. And anticipation is the beginning of control. You were taught that power belongs to the deserving, the honest, the loyal, the virtuous. This belief was not designed to elevate you. It was designed to pacify you. Because history does not reward virtue. It rewards clarity. Clarity about what humans are and what they are not. Every dominant figure who reshaped reality understood one principle. Human nature is not governed by morality. It is governed by incentives, fear, and advantage. Morality came later, as decoration, as justification, as camouflage, but never as the engine of power. Niccolo Machiavelli did not invent manipulation. He exposed it. He observed that rulers who relied on morality alone were quickly replaced by those who understood perception, fear, and control. He wrote what others were too afraid to admit: that being loved is fragile, being feared is stable. Because love depends on emotion. Fear depends on consequence. Emotion fluctuates. Consequence remains. This is why leaders throughout history maintained psychological distance, not because they lacked humanity, but because they understood proximity creates familiarity, and familiarity erodes authority. The more predictable you become, the less powerful you remain. Predictability creates comfort. Comfort creates disrespect. And disrespect invites replacement. History is not a story of the most intelligent minds. It is a story of the most perceptive minds. Those who saw human nature without illusion gained leverage over those still trapped inside moral narratives. Because moral thinkers assume fairness. Strategic thinkers assume competition. This difference determines survival. Consider how easily public perception shifts. A man can be respected for years, and a single narrative can erase him overnight, not because he changed, because perception changed. And perception is controllable. This is the hidden battlefield most people never see. Power does not operate through truth. It operates through belief. Whoever shapes belief shapes reality. This applies everywhere: governments, institutions, social circles, relationships. The person who controls the narrative controls the outcome, not the person who deserves it. This realization is uncomfortable because it destroys the illusion of safety. It removes the comforting belief that being good guarantees protection. It does not. It guarantees predictability. And predictability guarantees vulnerability. Because those operating at higher levels do not evaluate you based on your intentions. They evaluate you based on your exploitable patterns. They ask questions you never hear. What does he fear losing? What does he need to protect his identity? What emotional trigger destabilizes him fastest? What validation does he depend on? These questions reveal control points. And once control points are identified, influence becomes effortless. This is not cruelty. This is selection. Evolution never rewarded the kindest organism. It rewarded the most adaptive, the one who saw danger early, the one who concealed weakness effectively, the one who acted without hesitation when survival required it. Human hierarchy still operates on these ancient mechanisms, but it hides behind modern language. Professionalism, friendliness, trust. Beneath these words, the same forces operate: positioning, advantage, leverage. Most people participate unconsciously. A few participate consciously. And an even smaller number shape the system itself. This is the line between level 3 and level 4. Level 3 adapts to reality. Level 4 influences reality. Because once you accept that power has never been moral, you stop waiting for fairness. You stop expecting protection. You stop assuming others operate by the same internal rules you follow. You begin observing what actually is, not what should be. This removes hesitation. Hesitation is the cost of illusion. Clarity removes illusion. And without illusion, your perception sharpens. You stop seeing people as allies or enemies. You see them as variables. You stop seeing situations as emotional experiences. You see them as strategic environments. This shift is irreversible. Because once you see how power has always functioned, you can no longer pretend morality governs outcomes. You see the real engine: perception, control, selection, and most importantly, you begin to see where you truly stand within it. There is a moment when a man stops being influenced, not because the world stops applying pressure, but because he stops responding automatically. This moment is invisible to everyone except him. From the outside, nothing changes. He still speaks, still moves, still participates. But internally, the chain is broken. Before level 4, your behavior was shaped by stimulus. Approval made you open. Rejection made you defensive. Pressure made you comply. Opportunity made you reveal too much too quickly. You believed you were making decisions. You were not. You were executing emotional reflexes. And reflexes can be predicted. Predicted behavior can be engineered. Engineered behavior can be controlled. Level 4 is the death of reflex. It is the creation of the gap. The gap between what happens and what you choose to do about it. Inside that gap, you regain sovereignty. Because control does not require controlling others first. It requires controlling your own reaction speed. Most people respond instantly because they fear silence. Silence feels like weakness to them. They rush to fill it, to defend themselves, to clarify, to explain. They reveal themselves to escape discomfort. But discomfort is not danger. Discomfort is diagnostic. It reveals who still owns you. If someone can make you uncomfortable and force you to react, they still have access to your internal system. Level 4 individuals remove that access. They slow everything down. Not externally, internally. When insulted, they do not react. They observe. When praised, they do not trust. They observe. When pressured, they do not comply automatically. They observe. This observation creates separation between stimulus and identity. You stop merging with the moment. You stop becoming the reaction. You remain the observer of the reaction. And the observer has control. Because reactions can be modified, but only when they are seen clearly. This is where most people fail. They believe control means forcing outcomes aggressively. It does not. Aggression reveals intention. Revealed intention invites resistance. Resistance creates friction. Friction exposes vulnerability. Level 4 intelligence uses precision, not force. It chooses responses that create maximum influence with minimum exposure. Sometimes the correct move is silence. Silence forces others to reveal more. Sometimes the correct move is agreement. Agreement lowers defenses. Sometimes the correct move is withdrawal. Withdrawal creates uncertainty and increases perceived value. These responses are not emotional. They are strategic. They are chosen, not triggered. This makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is power. Because humans rely on prediction to feel safe. When they cannot predict you, they cannot confidently manipulate you. They hesitate. They second-guess themselves. They become cautious. And caution shifts the invisible hierarchy. You begin to occupy psychological space without demanding it. People start adjusting themselves around you. Not because you forced them, because they cannot map you. You become an unknown variable. Unknown variables cannot be controlled safely. This is the crossing point. The moment you stop needing immediate resolution. The moment you stop explaining yourself to maintain comfort. The moment you stop reacting to preserve your ego. You stop defending your identity. Because you realize identity itself can be used as a leash. Insult a man's identity and he reacts. Challenge his competence and he proves himself. Question his value and he exposes his insecurity trying to reestablish it. Identity becomes a control panel others can access. Level 4 removes that panel. You no longer need to prove. You no longer need to defend. You no longer need to respond. You choose when to engage. And choice breaks the control structure. Because those who cannot control your reactions cannot control your direction. This is when the hierarchy begins to invert. You are no longer the one being measured. You are the one measuring. You are no longer being influenced. You are deciding what deserves influence. And most importantly, You stop belonging to the psychological systems that govern everyone else. You begin operating outside them. Silent, unmapped, sovereign. Your greatest vulnerability was never your weakness. It was your consistency. Not consistency in discipline. Consistency in identity. You built a version of yourself that others learned. Memorized. Mapped. They learned what offends you, what flatters you, what pressures you, what makes you prove yourself. They learned where your emotional doors were. And once those doors were mapped, they no longer needed force to enter. They had access. This is the hidden cost of having a fixed, performative identity. It becomes predictable. Predictability creates handles. Handles create control. Most men never evolve beyond this stage because they are loyal to their self-image. They protect it, defend it, maintain it. They want to be seen as strong, intelligent, good, reliable. But every identity you try to protect becomes a prison. Because protection creates rigidity. And rigidity creates predictability. Level 4, intelligence understands something dangerous. Your identity is not you. It is a tool. And tools must be replaceable. The version of you that seeks approval cannot coexist with sovereignty. The version of you that reacts emotionally cannot coexist with control. The version of you that needs to be understood cannot coexist with power. Because the need to be understood forces you to reveal yourself. And revelation is exposure. Exposure is vulnerability. This is where identity execution begins. Not physical death, psychological death. You stop feeding the behaviors that others recognize. You stop reacting the way they expect. You stop explaining the way you always did. You stop defending the image they learned to manipulate. At first, this creates internal resistance. Because your nervous system is addicted to familiarity. It wants to maintain the same behavioral loops. It wants to protect the old identity because it equates familiarity with safety. But familiarity is what made you controllable. Familiarity made you readable. Readable made you influenceable. Influenceable made you owned. So the execution must be deliberate. You begin removing unnecessary reactions. Where you once explained, you remain silent. Where you once defended, you disengage. Where you once reacted instantly, you delay. This delay disrupts the expectations others built around you. Their predictive model begins to fail. And when their predictions fail, their influence weakens. Because influence depends on certainty. Certainty that you will respond emotionally. Certainty that you will defend your ego. Certainty that you will protect your image. When that certainty disappears, their leverage disappears with it. This creates psychological distance. Distance forces recalibration. People no longer feel comfortable assuming access to you. They become cautious, observant, respectful, not because you demanded respect, because you became unpredictable. Unpredictability creates perceived strength, because strength is not loud. It is unknown. This is why the most dangerous individuals often appear calm, neutral, and unremarkable. They do not perform strength. They conceal capability. Performance invites testing. Concealment prevents it. The old version of you needed to be seen. The new version does not. The old version reacted to maintain identity. The new version abandons identity to maintain freedom. This is the paradox most cannot accept. To gain control, you must release the need to be known. To gain influence, you must release the need to be validated. To gain sovereignty, you must release the need to be understood. Because every need creates dependency. Dependency creates leverage. Leverage invites control. Level 4 begins when dependency ends. When your internal state is no longer anchored to external feedback. When approval does not elevate you. When rejection does not destabilize you. When provocation does not control you. You become internally sealed. Self-contained. Others can observe you, but they cannot access you. And when access disappears, manipulation fails. This is identity execution. Not becoming someone new. Becoming someone unreachable. The predictable version of you is gone. And without predictability, you cannot be owned. You assume advancement is a matter of effort. It is. It is a matter of abandonment. Because level 4 is not reached by adding skills. It is reached by removing illusions. And most people are addicted to their illusions. They need to believe people are honest. They need to believe loyalty guarantees safety. They need to believe morality guarantees protection. Not because it is true, because it is comforting. Comfort is the final leash. It keeps people psychologically domesticated. It keeps them predictable. It keeps them participating in systems that quietly extract their autonomy while rewarding their obedience with temporary stability. Most men will never cross level 4 because they fear isolation more than they fear control. Because isolation is the first side effect of clarity. When you stop reacting like everyone else, people notice. When you stop explaining yourself, people become uneasy. When you stop seeking approval, people lose their familiar leverage. They cannot locate you inside the behavioral map they built. And what cannot be mapped cannot be trusted. So they withdraw. Not consciously, instinctively. Because humans trust predictability, not strength. Predictability feels safe. But safety and sovereignty do not coexist. You must choose. Remain predictable and accepted, or become unpredictable and free. This is the selection point. Not everyone is capable of making this transition, because it requires killing the psychological rewards of compliance. No more instant validation. No more emotional reassurance. No more comfort in being understood. You become self-defined, self-contained, self-directed. Most people retreat before reaching this stage. They return to familiar patterns. They resume emotional reactions. They resume identity performance. They resume unconscious obedience to invisible social pressure. Because unconscious obedience is easy. Conscious sovereignty is heavy. It requires constant awareness, constant restraint, constant observation. Not of others, of yourself, your impulses, your emotional leakage, your desire to react prematurely. Level 4 is not maintained automatically. It is maintained deliberately. Every moment, you either reinforce your sovereignty, or you surrender fragments of it. There is no neutral state. You are either being conditioned, or you are conditioning yourself. And this is why the hierarchy remains stable. Because the majority unconsciously choose comfort. They choose visibility. They choose emotional expression. They choose predictable identity. And in doing so, they volunteer for containment. Not forced, chosen. This is the final truth most will never accept. Control is rarely taken. It is given. Given through emotional exposure. Given through predictable behavior. Given through the unconscious need to be seen, validated, and understood. Remove those needs, and control evaporates. Not because the world changed, because you did. At that point, you stop asking where you rank. because ranking applies only to those inside the system. And you are no longer inside it. You are observing it, operating within it, but never owned by it. This is the line few cross. Most will read these words and continue exactly as they were. Predictable, readable, containable. But a small number will recognize themselves in the silence between reactions. They will begin removing access, removing predictability, removing emotional leverage. They will stop performing identity and start exercising sovereignty. The hierarchy will remain invisible to everyone else, but not to them, and never to you again.